Junkies. This is West Coast Paul, and you are listening to Pure Adrenaline here on Stylin' Radio. It's the Tuesday edition, and for the next 5 hours, we'll be bringing you some of our favorite alternative rock. I am here in the studio with Izzy. What up, Izzy?
What's up? What's up? You come in a little hot on that intro.
Yeah. Did I really? Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm excited. This weekend is a lot of stuff. Obviously, you had the Super Bowl, the crap around the Super Bowl. The game was crap. Halftime was crap. The announcers were crap. Personally, I think a lot of the commercials were crap. And I'm like, at some point, I tuned it. Watching it. I was in Vegas. I tuned it and started watching the X Games and other things. It was just so bad. And so, what was your take on some of this?
Well, before I go into too much of it, there was a report that came out this morning that Monday Night Football had higher ratings than the Super Bowl about midway through the halftime show. It was that bad.
I would believe it.
People were tuning out. So if you listen to the afternoon show the past 2 days, I missed pretty much most of the Super Bowl because I was in the hospital with my mom. And I was trying to keep up with it the best I could. After the Super Bowl, I did get to see the halftime show, which was, let me tell you my take on it, okay? It was cool with the Buick Grand National, which it was an Easter egg that paid homage to the last muscle car out there, right? But it was just a hollow car, right? It was a prop. The other thing was, it was cool that everybody was coming out of it paying respect to the late great, I can't think of his name now. I said it earlier. Coolio.
Yeah.
Coolio, yeah. So, for Fantastic Voyage. It starts off great, right? With the dancers coming out of the car, like the Fantastic Voyage. The dancing was great. I'm sorry, you picked the wrong motherfucker to do a halftime show. Now, this individual's got a couple of good songs that people know, but they turned it into a whole Black Lives Matter fucking deal.
Yeah, and none of the music, I've talked to a lot of people, and most people didn't recognize anything. They were
nobody, and here's the thing. It's like I tell people, I own this station and other radio stations. I listen to hip-hop music.
You love hip-hop, yes.
I never even heard of this shit.
Yeah, and it was a delayed show because of all of the staging, I guess, they had to do.
It was the shortest halftime show ever. It was at 13 minutes and something. Normally it's 20 minutes.
And, it was, things of people coming up. It's like I saw a commentary from Stephen A. Smith, who said personally he would divorce Serena Williams for her participation in what she did in that show.
Well, here's the interesting thing about her, okay? So, any of you listeners can do this, just like I did. Go to YouTube, type in halftime show, right? Listen to the crowd. You could hear the crowd going, what the fuck is this? What is this? The other thing is, there's no crowd reaction. But when she sung, there was crowd reaction. So that's pretty bad. There's more crowd reaction from your sidekick that's only got a small part in the deal versus you performing. And then they were like, the message will be presented live. You're going to put a message out there for black people, right? Let's just be honest here. We're not going to sugarcoat it at all. To a bunch of drunk fucking people watching the Super Bowl that don't understand a fucking word that you're saying because they've never heard that beat or those lyrics. You should have fucking goddamn did the songs that everybody knew. And Apple should be pissed off than anything that they spent all that money on this shit and it turned into shit. The one thing is, another thing a lot of people missed is in the very beginning where it said presented by Apple Music and it went down the tunnel of the Apple. That was paying respect to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is probably wherever the fuck he is going, what the fuck is this shit?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Why there's nothing about that that in anything I've seen with him that he would have condoned. His name or his, I guess, brand, his company, his invention being put onto there he turning in his grave, whatever you want to call it, like you say.
Oh, it's just fucking the whole
he's
damn thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to hate on the whole thing. The dancing was great. There was several hundred dancers and they performed great. We've seen other Super Bowls where there's been mic issues and this different stuff, you know. But this is like by far, and I'm not trying to just be out of line, but this is by far the worst fucking halftime show ever.
Yes, and you know, they had an opportunity to do, if they would have done something great, because honestly, they think this is the highest rated Super Bowl for viewership ever. They believe it's going to get near 130 million people here. And the worst thing you could ever do is take the most popular thing on the planet that's ever, this Super Bowl, and do this, and then put something like that in it where people go, why am I here?
Well, and
I tuned in for this.
Well, in the other thing, I mean, it turned into a whole shit show. I mean, the game sucked. I mean, well, not for the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles were beating them like they were a little league team, and you know, I know we had a bet. You know, I said the Eagles are going to win. You know, off camera, Paul, did you not say you're probably right?
Well, in fact, at the very end of the last show, when we talked, I said, by the way, I think the Eagles are going to win. And we, you know, it was like up, and then we talked about that afterwards, and they did. For everything, hey, listen, I'm a Midwest homer. I said it, put my money where my mouth is, do the Chiefs because I'm here. That's what I'm going to do. And I did it. And
I live here, and I'm like, I ain't fucking rooting for them.
But what I will say this is when I went to Vegas, I did a parlay. I don't bet much. I put $100 down and I got almost 800 back on a parlay bet thing. I was too chicken shit to do the last one because I don't want to bet to lose. If I'd have done the last parlay one, it'd have been over 12 grand. And that was the Chiefs being zeroed at halftime. And I'm thinking, nah, it's not going to be that bad. But I did a lot of others, betting on all Eagles stuff. And did it. It was, you know, I my $100 and that was it.
Well, and nobody would have guessed that the Chiefs would have been zero at the halftime. I mean, I saw the highlight reel. You know, of course, like I said, my mom's in the hospital. I went to go see her that morning. I come home, was getting everything ready. I had friends coming over. And I got a phone call and had to emergency go back. And so I even tried to watch the Super Bowl in her room, and she was half-ass awake and didn't want to see that. So I was like, well, but then again, I guess I wouldn't want to see it either if I was on my deathbed and Kansas City was getting their ass handed to them. I mean, it was pretty bad. Even Taylor Swift, other Super Bowls, you've seen her dancing around and talking to people. She sat there like a soccer mom with a pissed off look on her face.
Yeah, I know, the whole time. And so again, that halftime show, because the game drew so many people, it set it not a record. The Michael Jackson one in 1993, but basically the entire world watched the damn halftime show.
Oh yeah.
You know, with the game, but they saw the halftime presentation.
Well,
this is going to kill. It's going to kill things in it for future. If they don't get back to a medium, you know, a relative norm, they have to.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, they've had, you know, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
That was a highly viewed halftime show, and there was a wardrobe malfunction, okay?
The famous wardrobe malfunction, yep. Correct.
And then they were worried about bringing Justin Timberlake back. And then when they did bring him back, he threw down one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows ever.
Yes.
You know, had the crowd involved and all this other stuff. they would have been better off. I mean, seriously. It ain't because Rob Van Winkle's a friend of mine. You should have fucking paid Vanilla Ice to do the halftime show. I mean, the halftime show he did at the one football game had more. Everybody was out of the seats. This, everybody was confused. There's so many other people you could have fucking brought in to entertain people. It's unreal. I mean, you know, they had Maroon 5, and they told him not to take off his shirt, but he did at the end. Give the people what the fuck they want.
I know. And you know that, though, surprisingly, I'll bet you, because of several factors, when everything is said and done, that a lot of people are going to say they liked this show because they're afraid to say they didn't.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, people. The other thing that I noticed with the halftime show watching it, okay, so I talked about Justin Timberlake performing, right? Okay, so there's a special ticket that you could be on the floor during the halftime show, right? And I know this for a fact because I did the halftime tailgate show outside for the Super Bowl for several years. Did you also notice there was no crowd participation in this performance?
Yes. And I've spoken, before, when you're at a show and you are not entertained, that is exactly what happens.
And then, we can go on and on about shit with the halftime show, but let's talk about let's go to some commercials here and get back to some music. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the commercials because I definitely got some shit to say about that. But yeah, we're going to get right back into music. It is Tuesday night.
We're cruising in, but this is hour one. We're getting here, and this is West Coast Fallout.